Hey everybody, welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast broadcast live from Night City. It's me, Matt, aka Matt Fondude, and who am I with today?
You are with James, aka James 04E.
James, did you like my Cyberpunk intro?
Yes, I'm not sure why we did it.
Well, I saw like 3 YouTube shorts today of Cyberpunk, and I was like, man, that game is actually really good. And I don't care what the people said that it was bad sometimes. That game is
hmm
actually like a pretty fun game to play.
Yeah.
Um, and now I'm like, I should watch the Netflix show, and I should also like replay the game and do like some sort of melee build V. And
Oh boy, you had the reawakening after watching
yeah,
the show.
I didn't watch the show yet. I just saw literally
Ah, I
like
see.
one YouTube short of someone like stealth killing a boss in the game, and I'm like, oh, you can stealth kill people, the bosses. That's
hmm
cool. They have unique stealth kill attacks, um, which is a really interesting. I think that's really cool that there is unique stealth kills on bosses that you would like literally never stealth kill. Like,
Yeah,
why would you hide from a boss? I didn't know that was even possible.
man.
Um, yeah, no, it's cool. I th- I maybe it's not a good idea to play it right now. Maybe I should wait till the DLC comes out and then replay it.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, because the
'Cause-
DLC is gonna. I don't know. It seems like they're reworking a lot of stuff to the point where like you're basically restarting the game.
yeah, that's why I'm like maybe I should wait. It might not be
They
a good
also
idea.
they never did New Game Plus, did they?
No,
I'm
but I
thinking
think it's
back.
probably because they kind of like leave it open for the DLC to add stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm re-downloading that right now. Getting into my week a little bit. I'll start off by saying, so I downloaded. Actually, I'm downloading it right now. I should stop downloading Cyberpunk right now while we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Um, yeah, I downloaded Remanent 1 and started
hmm
playing that. I'm very early on in that game. Um,
Okay, Pog.
yeah, I just got past the tutorial basically and picked my archetype, and I
hmm
picked the ex cultist because it seems like it's the only viable choice.
Yeah, your archetype doesn't matter in that game.
Yeah, I looked on Reddit. I'm like, hey, which one? Because I was thinking Scrapper seemed cool at first. I was like, oh wow, Scrapper. They're like a melee, big, slow, heavy shotgun. That sounds fun. And I went on Reddit and it was like, pick ex cultist because their trait is just the best. They get like mod length or something right off the bat, and they
Yeah.
also get like healing. So it's like,
hmm
yeah, okay, why not? There's like no reason not to. Um,
Yeah, I
so
think you eventually get all of the traits
yeah, you
through
can
like
get them
normal
all,
means. Yeah.
but it might be it's like apparently it's something you can grind for that you may not find. It might take you a long time to get the other
hmm
traits. But also you can buy the weapons and armor like immediately. So that doesn't matter. It's just
Yeah.
based on your traits. Um So that was interesting. I mean, I don't mind the ex cultist looks has a cool outfit and stuff, and I don't really mind that. Um, so I just started like playing the game, and I think I went a path. I don't know if I went off the main path because I just ended up in a sewer, and then I was like getting attacked by like 100 things,
hmm
and then a monster spawned that basically like one shot me. Uh, so I
Was it Gorefist?
It was something that it does like you can only shoot it while it's attacking,
Hmm.
or it does something where you shoot it and it blocks everything, and then it goes to attack you, then you can shoot it.
Oh, I see.
So maybe Gorefist. That sounds like a correct name for that kind of a creature.
Well, Gorefist is a boss, so it's probably
Oh, it
not
was not a
that.
boss. It was
Yeah.
just a regular enemy. Um, so I just turned the game off for a little bit because I was like, that was a nighttime like exploratory run. Like I was like, oh, I have
hmm
like an hour. I'll just put this on real quick just to see what it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that was fun. How is your Remnant 2 going? How is the world of the sequel for you been so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I've pretty much finished the game. Like I've literally beat the final boss, but I haven't gotten like all my gear for my build or anything yet. But yeah, it's fun. Story is cool. It's kind of just there. It's nothing like
Hmm.
crazy. There's some multiverse stuff going on that's
Oh
not very well
no,
explained. They do the whole
current
thing where it's
year.
like they do the whole thing where it's like, I kind of don't know how it works myself, but it does.
Hmm.
That
Uh,
was kind of funny, but yeah,
this is a little podcast inside baseball, but James, can you turn your mic down a little bit? It's just
sure,
clipping a little bit. We're trying to. I just like moved my setup, so my mic I had to change my settings, so I had to make my mic louder, and we're trying to fiddle it again because audio mixing is like the worst thing of
yeah,
all time.
audio bad. We should just remove all audio.
Yeah, and I can tell just by doing that, I normalize the audio. It's just gonna be a nightmare. It's just
Yeah,
gonna be a nightmare, and it's not gonna work because it takes whatever your highest point is and it normalizes to that. So if you have really high highs and then low lows, it doesn't work. Whatever
hmm
podcast.
yeah,
So bear with me. But anyway, Revenant 2 boss fight. Weird multiverse current year so hot right now, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. So I guess to be fair, Remnant One was already kind of doing. They were kind of delving into multiverse stuff, so it wasn't like out of left field. Uh, one thing that was pretty funny. No spoilers for the final boss, but it's very crazy. There's way too many VFX. Like there's so many.
Is there a lens
It's
flare like an MLG Call of
oh
Duty
god.
video?
So you get put in like there's one part where you're in it literally looks like you're in Tetris. And then you're getting like Tetris blocks thrown at you. It's ridiculous.
Then the
Um
Iron Giant shows up.
yeah. And I think the funny one of the funniest parts about it is I looked it up on Reddit cuz I died to it like 3 times and normally in this game with these bosses I only die like once or twice max if I die at all. Um, and so, I died the third time. I'm like, okay, there's something I'm not seeing here. And apparently, half of the attacks the boss does are fake, and the real ones
Oh,
are pointed out by a loud pinging sound.
that's odd.
So
That's an
it's
odd
like,
choice.
okay, I need to pay extra attention to audio in this game now.
Yeah, sound off gamers
Yeah,
listening to Linkin Park on Spotify on their second monitor in
yeah,
shambles right now.
I can't listen to music while I'm fighting the boss.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um mhm.
but yeah, it's one of those bosses where like while you're doing it, it feels like miserable, but after you do it, it's like wow, that was a great boss. I had a great time.
I feel that right now. I'm playing another thing I've been doing my week. I've been on a trying to finish up some JRPG kick for some reason.
Hmm
Uh I I got to the end of Earthbound. So I'm on the final
hmm
boss of Earthbound and I lost on that boss because I didn't understand one of the mechanics. And I got to like it was this really long like cutscene of a boss basically and also like a segment and I died and I didn't want to have to replay like 20 minutes of gameplay. So maybe I'll go back to it just to beat it, just to say that I beat it.
Yeah.
Um but then it got me thinking about Undertale, a game Earthbound heavily inspired, and I booted Undertale back up. Slight spoilers for Undertale. If you haven't played Undertale at this point and you care about Undertale, like what are you doing? But I'm doing the genocide route in Undertale where you kill everyone.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, the Poggers kill everyone route, which I didn't realize was so short. Because it's just like a bonus. It's like a little extra bonus. It's like it's
Hmm
not how the game is meant to be played. It is way substantially shorter than playing the game in like the pacifist route or like neutral.
Yeah.
It just negates basically everything in the game, and you just do like some. There's only like a couple extra boss fights that are kind of neat. But I am on the meme, the legend. I am on the Sans Undertale boss fight, and it's difficult. It's
The Sans Undertale boss fight.
yeah, it's like a notoriously pretty difficult fight. It's
Hmm
100% just trial and error memorization and like you're just trying to memorize patterns, not on like a Dark
Yeah.
Souls boss. Um and I'm so close to beating it. I'm on like the second phase or whatever of the fight. Uh, but the problem is, it's just like there. I don't know. You'll encounter the fight and then you'll dodge and whatever, and then there's just some mechanics that are just like outside of being kind of dumb. Like I appreciate most of the mechanics of the boss fight, but there is a mechanic where the boss can like hit you in the menu screen, so you have to like dodge in the menu. So it's an JRPG where you have like a menu select. You know what I mean? Like where like in a typical RPG, you can like select your action.
Hmm.
So there's a part where you have to like he starts attacking you in the select screen, and I don't know how to dodge that yet. I think you have to like menu through them without there's a whole I don't know, it's weird. So I'm like taking damage in the select screen. I'm like I just want to this fight to be over.
Simply menu
Um
faster.
no, it's like different. You have to dodge while menuing or something. I don't know, but
Hmm.
it's like some RuneScape PvP nonsense. But I'm just over it. Like whatever. Then there's like the gimmick of the boss is like now I'm in my final phase, like 15. It does it like a couple times, and it hits you with some
Yeah.
like basically like an insta kill pattern that if you didn't know, like you can't really react. You just kind of have to like die to it first and then do it again. And then I got to the part where it started doing crazy fast things, and I was dodging and doing really well, and I wasn't dying, and I think I was really, really close to beating the boss, and then I just died. I'm like, "Ah, whatever.
Uh,
I'll just keep grinding it until I beat it,
Sounds
I
like we had
guess."
similar final boss experiences.
Yeah, the part where it stops being fun and you're just like, whatever, all right.
I think the funny thing is, so you were talking about getting attacked in the menu. Uh,
Yeah.
so the final boss in Remnant 2, it actually teleports between dimensions, and you get
Mm.
attacked at points where you can't physically see them. So you're thinking like, oh, I just teleported. Certainly, I have a little break, and then you hear the ping sound. And you're like, oh,
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a thing with age where it's just like I don't care. Like there's certain things about difficulty that are like fine. If I want a boss like maybe like an Elden Ring or something. I want to do the boss like 10 times, 10 attempts like max. I don't want to do more than 10 like attempts. I want to just
yeah.
get it over with.
I think it's interesting how Dark Souls. So like initially when we had Souls like they were all going for like, oh, you just need like the hard bosses, but like now it's lots of them are going for like spectacle, where it's they can have spectacle and also be hard, but sometimes the spectacle makes them really long.
And annoying, like the
Occasionally,
fire giant in Elden
yeah.
Ring, which is just a spectacle boss that just is annoying. Like it's
Yeah.
not. Oh yeah, and I don't know, and Radon or Raban or whatever his name is.
Hmm.
Uh, that boss is just kind of annoying too. Yeah, the spectacle. I mean, at least in Undertale, for a while there's unique dialogue every time you die,
Hmm.
and then after that it speeds up the fight. But you still have to walk down a corridor, and then between every phase of the fight, there's like a dialogue thing that happens. You have to like skip through, and it's just like I don't care anymore. I just want to like move to the next thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
anything that isn't just me doing like let me just do the content. You know, I don't know any
Hmm.
additional like couple seconds of filler that you've seen that starts to add up and be annoying.
Yeah.
You know, I'll probably beat it at some point. It's just I don't know. I don't care. I don't necessarily care that it's, you know, a challenge. It's not something that I don't think I'll really feel like, oh man, I really accomplished something after beating it. I'll be like, well, that kind of was cool, I guess, but I just want to see the ending. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, this is like a side run. This is like an alternate run. That's the only purpose of it is basically this boss fight. Like this is
Hmm.
the only content that's actually like really relevant. Um, so I can't really complain.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Um, so yeah, I actually just thought about this. So I had a bit of a class crisis this week in Remnant 2, because I want my main class to be Challenger, which is like the like shotgun melee tank guy.
Mhm.
But there are actually a lot of other good classes that synergize with it. I couldn't figure out which. And also there was a new class that got discovered, probably the last one, because initially there were only five, and now I think there's 11 or 12. 11, yeah, 11. there's probably a 12th one out there, considering the way that the 11th one was found. The idea is that the devs made it so unbelievably secret and specific that no human being would ever find out how to unlock it unless they data mined it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, and they came out and said that, like, specifically. So what you need to do to unlock this, so this class is called Archon,
Mhm.
and the how classes work in this game is you equip these things called engrams, which just
Okay.
basically give you the classes like perks and stuff like that. So according to the
Cyberpunk
wiki,
connection.
sure, yeah, sure. According to the wiki, to craft the hexahedron engram for the Archon, players must first obtain the strange box from found at the backrooms. And this backrooms area, the way that you get to it is you need to have the Explorer class equipped, which you only get by beating the game. You need to be level 10 on the Explorer class, which is the max level. It takes hours to get a class to the max level. Then you need to equip the Realm Walker set, which you purchase from a shopkeeper when you finish the game. You need the Invader, which has multiple secrets to unlock. You basically need to have a specific area, put a specific item into a giant spider web, beat the boss at the end of it, and you get this item called the Dreamweaver, which is like a melee weapon that lets you go into people's dreams. And then in a later area, you need to use the Dreamweaver on a glowing blue egg that takes you to one of the hardest bosses in the game, and you have to beat that boss. And if you don't beat the boss, then you get sent back, and you have to do the like Dream World thing again. And so
Mhm.
after you beat that boss, you get the thing for the Invader. So the Invader needs to be level 5. You need the Void Heart from a place called Elepsis Tora,
Oh my
and
god,
to
just keeps going.
this isn't even halfway through the list, by the way. There's a lot more.
Oh,
And so
no.
to get Elepsis Tora, what you need to do is you need to beat one of the worlds. You need to wait 24 hours in game. So like 24 in real life hours spent in game. Thankfully, this is bound to your computer's clock, so you can just set your computer forward 24 hours.
Okay, that's good at
And
least.
so you go forward 24 hours. Basically, the whole idea is that the rest of the world becomes unavailable except this one place. You go to this one place to pick up the item. You need Ford Scattergun, which you get by going to the Red Throne Room on Yesha and equipping a specific item to unlock a secret door. And you only get this item if you're on the Queen's good side, which isn't necessarily encouraged for certain builds. So you would have to restart the campaign if you want to do that. You need the Cube Gun, which it's actually pretty normal. You get it after beating a boss. It's like a boss weapon. You need the Labyrinth Staff, which you get after beating a secret boss in the Labyrinth. You need Leto's Amulet, which you get by wearing extremely ultra heavy armor and belly flopping 100 times in town and then buying it from a shopkeeper for 1,000 gold. You need the Amber Moonstone, which can be purchased from a shopkeeper in the home base area. The problem is that the shopkeeper rotates their shop every half hour, and this is not a guaranteed item to be in there.
Of
Uh,
course it isn't.
Thankfully, when you get it, it will never go away. Like if the item spawns in a shop, it stays in a shop. But I spent about I did the equivalent of waiting 5 days for it because I was just setting my clock like around because it rotates every half hour, so I just push it forward half an hour repeatedly. And you also can't just wait in the home base area. You actually need to go somewhere else, change your clock, then go back. Um, Then you need the Black Cat Band, which you buy from a shopkeeper. You just need to die a certain amount of times, like 10 times in the game, and you can buy it. You need Anastasia's Inspiration, which you buy from a shopkeeper. Zanika Malice, which is on a secret route in the final level. Um, yeah, and that's it. You need to have all these equipped,
I
and then
would
you have to
never
go
do
to
this.
a
I would
secret door,
I would never do
and you'll
this.
go into the labyrinth backrooms. And the labyrinth backrooms are pretty goofy because it's just this place with all these yellow walls. It looks like
Yeah, it's
backrooms, and there's
it's the
yeah,
back rooms.
yeah, and it has a bunch of goofy doodles that the devs made. There's like a scribbled like monster on the wall or something. It looks like a 5-year-old drew it. And yeah, you have to go in there. You have to grab the stuff. I believe there's a time limit for you
Oh
to be
my
in there.
god.
Um, and yeah, then you can get Archon. And the class is basically all about mod power generation, and that's some really cool, like, the active abilities aren't necessarily related to the class. They're like One is a transformation ability that like gives you three different buttons to press. Like one is you just blast some tendrils, and others you make a shield, and in others you teleport. There's one that slows enemy projectiles in like a field and gives allies damage reduction, and there's one that grants allies damage amplification and increases their mod generation, but also increases the damage they take. So lots of miscellaneous, really OP buffs. So yeah, it's a really cool class, but yeah, lots of effort to unlock. About half the stuff that you need, I didn't even get in my campaign, so I have to restart.
Amazing. That sounds
And
like a any FromSoft side quest.
yeah, so and also you can do adventure mode, which lets you just create a world like a specific world and just go through it like it's a campaign. But there are some things that are campaign exclusive, which is mostly these like NPC interactions. So there's still plenty of stuff that you can't get from it. But yeah, the average Remnant 2 secret. The devs actually said there are secrets they don't even know about because some of them thought it'd be really funny to not share their secrets with any of the other devs. So there's one Remnant dev out there who's just like, nobody's found my thing, and nobody ever will.
Until they data mine it.
Yeah, I
Um,
I think the funny thing is that at this point, I don't even know if they could data mine it because like they've been data mining since day one, and the only real thing they found is that Archon class.
I mean, that's pretty crazy though, like that they would put that in. It's kind of
Yeah,
cool that there is something that secretive like that just for people who really are super fans, you know, who want to
yeah.
unlock it. Um,
And the class is like it's
but
pretty
oh,
specific, so it's not like it's a class that like everybody's missing out on, or like a large portion of the audience is missing out on by not having. It's just it's a cool little wacky transformation mod class.
that is a long one though.
Yeah.
Um, oh man. Yeah, I wonder. So this just reminds me, like I was saying, of like any FromSoft game where you have to get the rice and kill the snakes in the right
Hmm.
order and eavesdrop, and do a mechanic you've never ever seen before in any FromSoft game of stand behind wall and press A to eavesdrop. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Thankfully, the secrets in this game aren't very time dependent. Like you can usually still go back and do them. The only exception is if sometimes you choose like the wrong like option, like as I was saying, if you piss off the queen, there is an other item to get if you do that, which is it's a good item. You know, it's not like you're gonna be pissed necessarily. Like you get one, you get something on one route and nothing on the other, but
Yeah, the Ornstein and
it's like
Smo
damn.
debate right there, where could get the hammer or you could get the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Well, it's crazy that you like burned through that game so quick. But is it a long game or is it like kind of like
Um,
medium?
let's say you can beat it in like 12-15 hours. I did a little more than just simply beat the game because I so since I was having my class crisis and I was changing classes a lot, I had to level them all up. So I spent a lot of time just going into adventure mode and like farming them up. Like I was quite literally I would have work I needed to do on one window and Remnant 2 on the other, and I would just tab in every once in a while and go around a corner and like kill a set of enemies. Use the most absent minded farming possible.
uh yeah, just like that classic grind, off-screen grind.
Yeah.
Outside of the world of Remanent, which I'll have to dive into the first game and beat. I also purchased a game I have not played yet called it's Yokus or Yokus, I don't know.
What?
Island Express. I'm looking at it right now. I literally bought it. It is a roguelike pinball like game.
Pinball like.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, it's a roguelike or not, sorry, not a roguelike, a Metroidvania pinball type game." So I'm like, "Wait a minute. I like a yeah, it's an open world pinball adventure is what they're billing it as." Um
Hmm.
which honestly sounds really fun. I am interested in that. Shouts to Sonic Spinball, which is probably the only closest thing I could think of that
Sonic
was like that.
Spinball.
Pinball Metroidvania. I love the idea of adding Metroidvania mechanics to weird other things. Um, yeah, pinball. I think that is a really cool idea for a game. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. It seems positive reviews. It is on sale right now. I don't know if it's still on sale, but I think it was like $3 or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's $4 right now on sale. Um, so not a big risk, and I think it'll be good. Pinball.
Not a big risk of rain.
Risk of Rain. Yeah, I gotta
TM.
get back into that. I have everyone I knew who played Risk of Rain 2 specifically.
Hmm.
They got way more into it than I did. So I was like playing Risk of Rain 2, and I was like, "This is fun." And all my friends were like, "Yeah, we actually unlocked every single character and did like the secret, ultra secret character unlocks and did everything. Do you want to like play with us?" And then I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll play with you guys." And they're like, "Oh, actually, those items you're getting are suboptimal, and let's try to get the You guys want to do the thing where we stand on the four corners to unlock the secret of this map?" To get the secret thing and then do that and like let's do a loop. And I'm like, I just turned the game on.
Let's do a
I,
loop.
have you ever had that experience with people where your friends want you to get into a game, but they're like max level in the game, or they basically know everything about the game? So when you try to play a co-op thing with them, and they like don't make a new character, so they're just like on a max character
Yeah.
or something. Nothing will make me bounce off a game harder than that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I hate it when it's just you need to start at the same time
Hmm.
or like kind of start a new character or something.
Yeah, I think especially if the game doesn't have like co-op scaling based around the individual players, like it'll specifically scale to you, then that can be pretty messy.
Yeah. A game that does a good job of that is Final Fantasy 14 with its level sync, making
Based.
it so yeah, we should still play that at some point.
One
There's a
day.
new expansion that's coming out, I believe, for that game
Ooh.
called I just was looking at it 5 seconds ago.
Oh, that's a weird name
Um,
for an expansion.
yep, that's what it's called. No, it's called Dawn Trail.
Hmm.
So yeah, now would be a good time to get in, I guess.
Pog.
You know. Um, so yeah, no, that I've been playing that a little bit. I need to. I am at a point right now where I leveled up my dragoon enough to be able to do the main story quest line now for Heaven's
Hmm.
Word. Uh, but I'm just like I want to play a little bit of Undertale tonight. Like I don't want to just sit there and play 14. That is the thing about MMOs where it's just like I don't want this to monopolize like all my time.
Yeah.
It's a vibe for a little bit, but you don't want it to be the only thing you're playing because it can get a little samey.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, um, that's a thing. What else? Have you been playing anything besides Remanent from the Ashes 2?
Um, Not much I can talk about. I mean, there was another Project Loki playtest. It was
Hmm.
cool.
The
NDA, so I can't say
Secret
too much, but
Games.
yeah, cool game.
Uh,
If you see the opportunity to sign up for a playtest, you should.
is it low key cool?
Yes,
As
very low
against
key
NDA to
cool.
say if it's good or cool or not. Not even good, just if it's
You
cool.
know, according to the NDA, actually, I would say this game sucks.
The NDA specifically says you have to say it's bad as a joke.
Man,
It's in the agreement.
yeah, but yeah, it's cool. It's, arena brawlers are in a bit of a rough state right now, so excited for it. Hoping that it goes into at least alpha by the end of the year. So right now
Okay, wait.
they're in turbo pre-alpha.
Um, I'll have to check it out when it comes out. This is it's probably it's kind of like in the same state as Dark and Darker, that like weird Tarkov like first person melee medieval game where it's just like, hey, we'll do like a here's a weekend. You play the game for like a weekend, and then you'll hear nothing about it for like
Yeah,
months.
it's essentially the third last day of a month and the second last or third and fourth last day of a month. So like in July it was 27th and 28th. Uh Actually, that's a lie. It's the last Thursday and Friday of a month rather. Yeah, that actually adds up better. So I
All
was thinking
right.
like what's the common factor in the in June 29th and 30th, and July 27th and 28th, and it wasn't hitting. I looked at the July one, and I'm like, wait, the June one doesn't match.
I
Yeah, so
have
so last Thursday and Friday of a month.
breaking Steam front page news for you. It's not even news. It's not even.
Oh my god, what
It's
is
not.
it?
It actually isn't even new because it came out in January of 2022. But on
Mhm.
my Steam front page, there's a game called Zenith: The Last City. Just go on Steam and look that up. I don't know what I didn't know what this was
Zenith,
at
the
all,
last city.
but the images looked so strange. Apparently, it is a VR MMO
Oh
of some
god.
kind, and it looks very strange and odd.
Yeah, this does look bizarre.
Yeah, I
Why is
wanted
there
to
this
see the
giant
reaction to this.
cat staring at the
I
screen?
don't know.
Oh god.
It's a
You know how it's like really how it's like an art rule to not have the characters look directly at the camera? Like why is it doing that?
Zenith breaks all the rules. It's its own thing. I looked at the comments and or the reviews, and one person was just like, not what was promised. So it's like this is probably like a Kickstarter game or something.
Oh boy. I'm reading the little about this game section with the images with text. It says engaging combat, meet new friends, explore a gorgeous world, customize your classes, creature catching, player
This looks
housing. Why is housing spelt with two S's? Is that how you spell it? I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure
housing.
it's
It's their
one S.
housing system. Um,
Yeah, it's one S. Why are there two S's in housing?
I don't know. All I
I
know is I see people waving in VR.
is it
It
a
doesn't
different
look
word?
that bad. Oh god, the creature catching is a little cursed.
Yeah,
Uh, player housing. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. I don't. I love when things are spelt incorrectly in like very official things for
That
games.
that just might be the font that S. That might just be what the S looks like for the people who are literally
That's
listening and
so
can't see this.
bizarre.
The S, maybe it's in that font style.
Oh
It's
my
just two S's next to each other
Look at the
to make
E. It
one
looks like a
S.
centipede
Oh
or
wait, yeah,
something
the
like it. Like
E
oh my
has
god,
like four prongs instead of three
it has
prongs.
five.
It has no, it doesn't. It has four.
No, it's the top, middle, bottom, and then there's two between like the top and
One,
middle and the
two,
bottom middle.
three, four. There's four.
There's
Is this
five.
like a is this a Yanny Laurel situation? The blue and
No,
yellow dress
okay.
on a audio podcast where people can't actually
Oh
see
my
what we're
god.
talking about.
I'm talking about in player housing, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking at player. The E in player. There's four prongs. One, two, three, four. There's four prongs.
Oh my, give me. I'm gonna
Where's the
DM
fifth
you.
prong?
I'm going to DM you a screenshot of it on Discord,
Is
and
every copy of the game personalized where we have
we'll,
different
we'll
prong
make
lengths?
sure we're looking at it's the same thing.
Yeah. Let me see. I still see four prongs. What do you? I don't know. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on
Maybe it's some
from the
sort of
topic.
optical illusion. Who knows?
I think there's some
It's a
sort of
weird font.
optics thing.
It's a
Yeah.
really weird font. That's all you
All
need to
right.
know.
I just saw this out of the corner of my eye while we were talking,
Man.
and it just encapsulated my imagination. Because it's hard to make an MMO unless you're
Yeah.
unless you're one of the big MMOs right now, like 14 and 14 Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft to a lesser extent because like people don't seem to like the game as much anymore. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the I guess Elder Scrolls Online.
God, when you said
Um,
14, I thought you were gonna say Fortnite, and I was like, "What?"
yeah, Fort Stay the Night.
Fort Stay the Night.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Final Fantasy 16 to come to PC so I can play that game because I really liked 15.
Hmm.
I thought 15 was really good. It's kind of weird, but good. And the benefit of the delayed PC release will be maybe they'll fix a lot of nonsense. I don't even know if there is nonsense, but I'm sure there's nonsense that they can fix, and there'll be
Yeah.
like added content
Hmm.
when we eventually do get it. Um, but yeah, I don't. I guess week wise. So if that was your week, just playing Remanent and then the game that must not be named. Um,
Geese.
and my week was Sans Undertale, man, and Earthbound, and I also have the urge to play Omori again, which is like all those like RPG Maker slash like Earthbound inspired games. Just play those.
Hmm.
Um, Omori's really good. You should check it out at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I
I
actually just
recommend
remember
it
one
to
more
everyone.
thing. Was it they started releasing the trailers for the next Apex season, and I thought it was cool because they're reworking one of their characters instead of doing like a new character, and they're like implementing it into the lore.
Hmm.
I think that's cool. I like when games do that.
They're doing. Didn't they age everyone up like 10 years or something?
They aged them up a little, I think, like a few years. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was 10 years. I
I was
honestly don't remember.
I think it was a YouTube short or something I saw where people were like, "This character is now like 57. This character is
Oh yeah,
47.
it
They're
is because I
27."
think I think the ages were like wrong before, like the years didn't add up or something like that.
I think it worked. It kind of worked for characters that were like going from whatever age, like 18 to like to their 20s. But they
Hmm.
applied that to everyone. So there's characters that look like they're like 30, but they're like 57, and they're like, this
Yeah,
character is like, this lady's 57. It just looks like a 20-year-old. It's like, okay, fine, fair enough.
yeah,
Sure.
but yeah, what they're doing is they're reworking their death robot character, the Revenant, the assassin boy, and whole thing is he's like glitching out, and it's it's really funny because the character was so bad, like horrendous. And like in the trailer, you see him using his abilities, and they're not working. And all the people that play are like, "Wow, this is actually accurate to gameplay."
Oh man. Uh, I'm just thinking about I don't know why, but just from first person shooter game that doesn't work. I'm just thinking about Overwatch 2.
Oh no,
And how I'm like, man, I kind of want to play that game again, but it's just so depressing just to even think about it.
yeah, it's
Like,
just
I don't know.
it's a vicious cycle.
I heard they like nerfed a bunch of characters too. Like Zenyatta got a nerf in a way. Like I don't know exactly what they did. I think maybe they nerfed his Discord or something.
Yeah, I don't
Um
know.
Let me look it up. I just see like Flats YouTube short videos. Flats like a content creator. I used to
Hmm.
like watch a lot more when I was more into Overwatch.
Yeah,
Um
I
and
know
I
of
just see
him.
like this character like oh yeah, so let's see, they nerfed his range on the Discord orb, so you have to be closer, I guess. But what else did they do? Is it just that?
Pretty
Um,
much. Yeah,
Powerful, nerfed his ability.
I don't know.
I
The
don't
game
know.
has
Whatever.
lots of silly Billy stuff going on.
It breaks faster with line of sight. I don't know. It's just like weird choices.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that patch wasn't very popular if you can't tell.
Whatever. It's also like the every Diablo patch, every Diablo 3 patch I
Oh
see,
man.
or sorry, Diablo 4 patch is just like who asked for this? Just like everything gets nerfed. It's like
Man.
why are they even nerfing things in that game? Like I don't understand why in a game like that where it's not really, I mean, they have PvP, but who cares? But like for the single player experience or even for the co-op experience, why would you nerf things? Why wouldn't you just keep them either the same or like make them more powerful, like buff the other things?
I
I
think
feel
they're
like
trying to so
I
like
don't know.
I did play it a little bit actually the other week. Not enough to talk about it much, but I think they're trying to modify the leveling experience and like create some new builds because they did buff other things. Problem is the other things just just suck.
I just don't understand why they were taking things away from players that are like I was enjoying that when they're just removing. Like that's the problem with nerfing in a game like that. In a competitive scenario, yeah, I get it. You gotta nerf things, balance them. But like, who cares in this situation if it was fun for the players to do? Like, if it's a specifically like a skill nerf, where it's like, oh, we just made it do less damage, or like we did this, made it worse. Like, I just don't understand that
Hmm.
design
Well, I guess the idea is
philosophy.
that some things are like strong enough that they're making the experience not work as intended. Like, there were some builds that were basically just like one-shotting bosses and things like that.
Yeah, but isn't that like the fun if you can get a build that does that? Like if you build up to it, you know?
Well, the idea is fun maybe, but the actual like thing is like you do it maybe once and then it's kind of like, well, okay. Like I'm not really interacting with the any of the mechanics of the boss at all.
Well, isn't but for some players, wouldn't the fun be getting to that point where you can one shot? That's kind of like your end
Well,
game.
yeah, but for those players, I think they would find something like that anyway, right? Because they're playing the game a lot.
Well, then if they find that, then they nerf it though. That's what it seems like keeps happening. They'll find the new thing that's cool, and then they just nerf that. And it's like, what's the point? What at the end of the day, do we want everything to be kind of like mid? Like everything kind of sucks.
Well,
Instead
I
of
don't know.
making
I think
everything
that
OP, just everything kind of like eh.
I think there's a pretty decent gap between like one shotting a boss in mid though. Like I think it's kind of
Yeah.
an I don't necessarily think it's a realistic standard to like always have builds that can one shot a boss like that.
Well, I don't think it should be always, but I'm saying like if you put in the work and you got the item, if it's like a situation where like okay, you need these specific legendaries, this specific set of skills, and then you'll like be like really strong and make it kind of hard and like worthwhile to like grind for. I think then the reward should be you one shot a boss. If it's like a really hard grind, like you need to beat the game a couple times, do this, very specific things, you know what I mean? Kind of like the Remanent
Mm.
2 thing where it's like you have a giant laundry list of things to do to get this specific thing. That's kind of your reward.
Well,
Um
yeah, but I think that like when you get those rewards like that, the reward should be like the gameplay loop. Because so what would end up happening, right? Is like you one shot the boss and it's like it's cool, but like where do you go from there? Because
well,
the actual payoff isn't necessarily interacting with the game's mechanics. It's just feeling quote unquote strong, which doesn't really take you anywhere.
I do think that's kind of an issue though of the people playing the game in terms of all right, they beat the people who were like where's the new content after they just like binge played the game, you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah,
beat
but I
it.
yeah, I agree. But like the reason why they're like that is because they had builds that were so powerful, right? Because like they need new content because the content they're interacting with right now isn't actually stimulating them because they're too strong for it.
But there's a point on the treadmill though of like when does it there is a limitation in how much content you have. They don't just make
Yeah,
the numbers go up, you know. So like it's going to always be a complaint no matter what they do for the most part. It's always going to be kind of like, oh, there's, you know. So is the solution just like make all of your numbers go down and then raise all the enemies numbers up until there's a point where it's like just in exponential number go up, you know, like there. I mean, until they do an expansion or something, it seems like it's just it's not an infinite game. You can really, you know, I think a lot
yeah,
of these games people are like, it's my forever game. I'm gonna infinitely play it, but there is a point where it's just kind of like you gotta wait till a new major expansion comes out, you know.
yeah. Of course.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, so like you have stuff in Diablo 4 like Uber Lilith where it's like your build needs to be really good to like fighter and stuff like that. And for that, like obviously you do need builds that are in line with that character's with that boss's strength. But I think like when you get too far past it, it can kind of be problematic. Like because I think the idea is there should be like a strength cap for like characters in these games, and I also think that that there should be very clearly intended experiences for leveling. Otherwise, it can end up being all over the place where you have some characters that just like suck for leveling,
mhm.
and so in turn they level slow and the leveling doesn't feel good, right? So like you're not really protecting the experience of those players by having all the other classes be so far ahead of them. And so like I think that it's better to bring them all towards the middle than it is to say like buff them all to a point where leveling is just trivial. Or like where like the end game content that's meant to like, tide you over for a certain amount of time is just getting kind of trivial.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. In terms of overall game balance, it's just the perception thing. I think
Hmm.
nerfing something is always going to make people feel like they lost something. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
no matter what they do, there's gonna be people being upset. So,
Hmm.
but I guess for a healthier game in the long run, like to your point, it makes sense to do these changes. But I don't play the game, so I actually don't know if they're bad or not. To be honest. We'll just be like,
Hmm.
"Ayo, Blizzard bad, yucky. Microsoft good, Blizzard bad, yucky." Um, I don't know, but do you feel like in games, this is kind of a more broad question, I guess, even for single player games, but
Mhm.
Do you and I guess we'll start the question segment. If you want to email us, email at us at hyep podcast@gmail.com. That's hyep podcast@gmail.com. I'm gonna just give you a question before I read the actual questions.
Based.
But in games, do you feel like in a single player game, do you know how sometimes you'll fight a boss and there'll
Mhm.
be damage thresholds where you're clearly over leveled or overpowered and you basically can one shot the boss, but the game artificially will limit the amount of damage you can do so it can get into the next phase. Um,
Mhm.
do you prefer when a game where you could level up your character and actually get stronger and grind to get levels? Do you prefer if a game like lets you just basically demolish a boss if you put in the grinding, or do you like it when it just is like, okay, well, you're hard capped, like you even though you grind it, like all right, whatever, this boss has X amount of health, it doesn't matter, you just have to like do it.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I'm kind of in between. So it depends on what the boss is intended for. Like there are some bosses that are just meant like they're not climactic bosses. You just kind of use them to farm or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I think it's fine. But if we're talking like the final boss, I don't really think that you should be able to just like skip all the phases and just one shot a super climactic boss like that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing though is I know Borderlands does this. They actually do that thing you're talking about where you can't one shot, but it's on the player. Like they can't get one shotted. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's pretty cool. I don't think stuff like Diablo or lots of other RPGs, to be honest. Remnant doesn't have it either, where like you just won't get one shotted ever from full HP. I don't think they have that. I don't think they have that. I think they probably should.
Mm-hmm. I think Diablo 4 is kind of a weird balancing thing for me because like we talked about at one point, in every area of the game it scales with your level.
Hmm.
Um so you can be walking toward I kind of don't like that in a way. I like it and I don't like it because it feels like I'm never becoming stronger when the enemies match my strength. So it always
Hmm.
feels like I'm in a neutral place the entire game for at least the early game. I haven't, even breached past a point, but
Yeah.
it almost feels as though, and I think Elder Scrolls kind of does this too, where it's like the more you level, it's like the enemies get stronger. So it's like, but what's the point? Like, I kind of want to go back to these like weak enemies and like blow them up sometimes, or I want to
Hmm.
encounter an enemy that's way too hard, and I'm like, oh, I want to come back here. You know what I mean? I kind of prefer that rather than a homogenized. Everything is kind of a little bit tough. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? I rather there be clear segmented, like this is the weak enemy, this is the harder enemy type, and maybe do like what a Hollow Knight did, where in Hollow Knight there is like basic enemies in these early areas, and then later in the game they get replaced with harder versions of those enemies because of a world
Hmm.
event that happens. It's like I think that's cool. Like that's a organic way of doing it. Rather than I'm level 10 now and every enemy is level 12. I'm level, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just like a little bit harder than you, but not that bad.
Yeah. I think that it's okay to do that with level scaling, but not gear scaling. So
Mhm.
because with level scaling, right, you can say, okay, this person's probably going to be at least this strong at this level, so let's put the enemies there. And then if they're like really geared, they might just mow through them. And even in Diablo 4, there are some areas with just really shitty enemies. Usually the ones that aren't demons are gonna be a lot weaker. Like if I went back to crap, I don't remember area names. Like the first area, if you go back there and you fight like the wolves and all those things, you'll basically one shot them if you're higher level, even if they're kind of scaling up.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird gaming I guess it's a preference.
Hmm.
Um Part of it is though too, like I do think there is something charming about a game like a Morrowind or something like that, where you enter an area and you're clearly underleveled and you basically just get like one shot. So you're like, oh, maybe I can sneak through this area and like loot some stuff. Like in Elden
Hmm.
Ring, actually, Elden Ring is a good example of a modern version of
Oh
that.
god, Caelid.
Um, yeah, you can go to a lot of places that you're not really supposed to. Like I did the the Dung Eater quest line where you can go into like the sewer early. Like there's a sewer area,
Hmm.
and those enemies are pretty strong. But you can still run around and do like the quest line and do stuff like that. But it feels more dangerous because the enemies are strong. And then when
Yeah.
you come back there later and you're stronger, you're like, oh man, I remember when these enemies were strong, and now I can kill them. And Souls do that a lot with like bosses. Like, oh, that was a boss. Now I'm like one shotting him.
Hmm.
I think that's cool. I like the I like harder areas, and um, it makes it feel more like an accomplishment and like, oh, the reason for me to
Yeah.
grind up, like, oh man, I want to get stronger so I can go to that area.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
that's
definitely
just my
agree.
preference.
I think that there is an argument for the scaling in the sense that so in like older RPGs and stuff, you'd see areas have levels bound to them. Um, and what that kind of says is you're like supposed to be here right now. But I think that also lots of games nowadays encourage more backtracking.
Hmm.
So you're not as motivated to go back to areas where you'll just steamroll through unless you're explicitly just you just want to steamroll some enemies for whatever reason, right? Um you would never go back here to farm or anything if it's a super low level and you're not really getting anything out of it. So yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely do see the reasoning for both sides.
yeah, I
Would be
could see
cool
that.
if there were settings for that, but that could be a lot of work. So.
Yeah. I think it depends on how the game's designed too, just in general.
Hmm.
Um, but let's move into some of the questions before we end here. Do you see any questions from our questions list that tickle your fancy?
Tickle my fancy.
Hmm.
Let's see.
I see one
Um,
about. Yeah,
okay,
you got one.
I see one. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, podcast hosts. What are some games that you played when you were younger that you think had really cool art styles or graphics?
Uh, Rayman PS1 has a banger of a soundtrack and a great art style. All of the
Hmm.
PS1 2D games are some of the best like sprite work of all time because it was a weird transition between like a AAA game could have sprite work in it,
Hmm.
and now AAA games really do not have like 2D sprite work. Um, so like Symphony of the Night and uh Rayman, and like to just have this like crazy beautiful artwork with like CD quality audio for one of the like the first time.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just these games look so good. Like any game, pretty much any 2D game on PS1 just looks unreasonably good. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I would say that in general, those any of those games. What about you?
Yeah, the one that came to mind when I read that question was actually Jet Set Radio Future. It was a game on
Hmm.
Xbox. It was like I think it was like a roller skating game. I don't remember
Yeah.
many details about it because it was so I got my Xbox from my uncle and he just happened to have this game. I think this game was a lot about like graffiti and stuff like that. I remember, but it had this really cool cell shaded art style that I hadn't really seen anywhere else at the time. On top of it being a game from like 2002, so it had like very very basic 3D graphics to say the least. But it was a really unique aesthetic that I think was really cool. Even other games that use cell shading like Borderlands, I don't think quite capture it in the same way.
Yeah, it's like the charm, like graphical style. There's a whole thing about graphical fidelity today with like
Hmm.
crazy hyper realism, where those games never seem to age as well as a game that just has a really strong art direction.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something that's kind of outside of indie games. It feels like indie games are always going to be kind of like well, I mean, actually going forward with some of the advances with like Unreal Engine, we're gonna probably start seeing a lot more like hyper realistic indie games, kind of like
Hmm.
that game that was going around that looks like like a body cam footage,
Yeah, I remember that one.
unrecorded or whatever it's called. Um, we're gonna start seeing that a lot more, I think, because it's more accessible. But a game that has a strong art style and stylistic choice will be timeless. And like I'm saying, like with those 2D games, like Symphony of the Night still looks amazing today. Like it'll never not look good.
Hmm.
just because it has strong art direction, like art direction over graphical fidelity any day for sure.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna hit a wall soon where every game is just like it basically looks like real life, and then we're gonna kind of go back to having things that are a lot more stylized. I think.
I do think for VR, uh, having a game that's like indistinguishable from real life will be pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, but like you said, then there will be a rise of just more stylized games. When that becomes more of the norm, where it's actually not that hard to like make something realistic, then I think the rise of weird like art stylistic choices will probably take place. And there's always a market for like pixel art kind of games and stuff like that.
Hmm. Oh, actually, so something I just found that was really cool. There's this game coming out called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I don't know much about it, but apparently it's inspired by Jet Set Radio Future. It has a very similar art style. It's coming out on August 18th.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Steam and Nintendo Switch.
Oh, that is very inspired by Jet Set Radio.
Hmm.
I'm looking at that. Wow. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah, art style, man.
cool art styles.
All right, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Uh, hey James, what are some
Hey,
games you've played that have an interesting physics mechanic, engine or mechanic?
interesting physics engine or mechanic. I mean, the 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 low hanging fruit is is Portal,
Okay,
but
yeah, I was gonna say something on the source like Half-Life 2.
yeah, but I I don't want to do that. So I'll go for another game that's technically on source. Titanfall 2.
Oh yeah, oh weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
Strange.
who would have thunk? Source has pretty good physics, guys. Who would have guessed? Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about Titanfall 2. You know, the wall running system, the way the game handles momentum, things like that. Uh, it's also really cool that they managed to make it a mech game too. Even though people didn't really like, it's actually that's not correct to say people didn't like the mechs, but I think there was one of the devs came out a while ago and they said that people engaged with the mech systems less than the pilot systems,
Mhm.
something like that. Which is, it's fair. Like I could imagine there are people that are just refusing to call in their mech or they leave it on autopilot because they don't want to not wall run around.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I
I feel like I would be
remember,
one of those people,
yeah,
to be
I
honest.
remember in Titanfall 2 they introduced this grenade called the Gravity Star. And so basically what it did is it just dragged people in an AoE towards its center and then exploded at the end of the duration. But it would also interact with projectiles, like not bullets, but like explosives and stuff from grenade launchers or grenades you throw, and they would basically spin around the center like they'd be like orbiting it. And it was really cool because you'd have a person trapped in there and the thing's like orbiting them, and they'd just be sitting there trying not like waiting to get hit.
That's really cool. I,
Yeah,
I I should play Titanfall 2. There's like ways to play it. Like I
even
played
even if
Titanfall
you
1.
even if you just play the campaign, you'd probably get you'd probably still get a lot of it. So it's a great campaign.
It's like I own it. Like I should probably
Yeah,
play it.
I own it too. Actually, I own it. I bought that game 3 times. I bought it
As
on
you
Xbox
should.
One. Yeah, I bought it on Xbox One on launch. I bought it on PS4 in like 2019, I think, and then I bought it on PC when it was on sale for like $5, maybe
Yeah,
like
same.
a year and a half ago or something. But
That
yeah,
game
really cool
is
game.
adorning 5 and below clearance bins to this day,
Man,
unfortunately. At least they made it. At least Apex is successful, although rip any Titanfall in the future.
man,
Um but I'm going to use your answer of just like you got to say Half-Life 2 for physics.
yeah.
I mean, Crisis is also like a physicsy game of the time, but like Half-Life 2 and like the Half-Life games in general, just being able to run around and like throw physics props and like the gravity gun was just such a fun thing at the time. Um, and Gmod just like probably I think Gmod is the game I have the most hours in. of all
Mhm.
time. It just I got Half-Life 2 to play Gmod. I didn't even know what, Half-Life 2 was or Steam. I'm like, I just want to play Gmod because I saw funny Gmod videos online.
Mhm.
So a special place in my heart for sure for Gmod. Just like I don't know, just so many hours spent just throwing ragdolls around and doing dumb stuff in that physics engine. I'm just
Mhm.
so excited for Sandbox, the spiritual sequel kind of game. Uh,
I still laugh every time I hear that name,
it's just S and box.
man.
Uh, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I just love user generated games like that. Guess another honorable mention to Little Big Planet, which I mean, not doesn't have the greatest physics engine, but a lot of physics based stuff in that game.
Mhm.
Um, it is a crying shame that we don't have like an active Little Big Planet kind of game just still running to this day. Like they really should.
Man.
I mean, I want them to port it to PC, but I kind of don't at the same time because Trixel. Again, I've mentioned this like every podcast, but and stream I do, but it's still worth it. The game uh Restitched, which is you can wishlist it on Steam.
Mhm.
It's a fan game it's basically just Little Big Planet for PC, and I'm excited. I hope it comes out at some point because that'll be amazing, and that'll be I'll be streaming that game a lot.
Little based planet.
Yes, Little Based Planet indeed. And I think with that, that is a podcast. I'm excited to announce that I have been Matt, aka Matt Fondue. You can not find me on Twitter anymore, because that doesn't
Damn.
exist. So I'm on that whatever it's called when you're
X.
listening. No, I know, but when they're listening to this, it could be something different. So whatever it's called at the
Ooh.
current moment, I'm on that, I guess, until I delete it because
The
I don't ever use Twitter anyway,
the
really.
artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, I'll jump ship to whatever the cool thing is. Apparently, no one uses Threads, even though it, launched. It's like who do you sell your
Yeah,
soul to?
man.
Um, but I'm on Twitch and I'm on YouTube, and I haven't streamed in like a month. I really should do that. I maybe I'll stream the pinball game. I was thinking about that while I was talking
Mayhaps.
about it. I don't know. There's certain games like I don't want to stream Undertale anymore. There's certain games that I don't want to stream that I want to play, and I've been playing
Mhm.
those when I have time. And then there's games I want to stream. So it's just it's been busy. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, who are you? How'd you get in here?
Yeah. Yes. I invaded your home. I'm in your walls. I've been James, aka James 04E. You can find me on the Twitches, the YouTubes, and the X now. It's called X, Matt.
It's called
The
X
former
for now.
Twitter is called X. It looks really scary on my phone, and whenever I get notifications, I'm really scared.
Yeah, I'll make sure to X out this post. I'll exit to all my
Oh
ex
god,
friends or whatever.
X friends.
Goodbye.